Alright everyone, in this project we're going to create a bird or a bat or a fly or some object with wings, and we're going to make that object fly onto the screen and then land onto another object. So in my particular example today, I'm going to take a bat, I'm going to have it fly in, and it's going to land on Snoopy's doghouse. We're going to use some different paths. We're going to use some different techniques to create this. It should be a lot of fun, very simple, nice, fun way to create an animated graphic for a logo or anything in your motion graphics. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into Premiere, or excuse me, So with that, let's go ahead and jump into After Effects. Now I should let you know, we do some stuff in Photoshop prior to going into this project. And I will explain that as we get started and bring some of our stuff in. So if there's some stuff you don't know about Photoshop, check out some of the other videos that we have on Photoshop as well, so you understand how to mask things and separate layers within Photoshop, because we will use that here in After Effects. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here I am in After Effects, and let's go ahead and get started. In this particular video, we're going to get our project set up. We're going to get some animation taken care of, and then from there, we're going to go ahead and jump into some other expressions and a little bit more advanced techniques. So here's After Effects. Let's go ahead and create a new composition. And I'm going to call this composition main comp. That's fine. 1920 by 1080, and then we'll click OK. The next thing I'm going to do is create a background layer. So I can right click here in my main comp, or I can come up to Layer, say New Solid Layer, and then let's make it white. That's fine. Just something, or maybe a little off-white, something nice and light so we can see what's going on. Okay, I'm going to change this to fit. So there we go. Now we can see it. And then let's bring in some of our assets that we're going to use for the video. So I'm going to right click into the empty space and say Import File. Ooh, let's try that again. We're going to right click in the empty space, say Import File. You could also import multiple files, but I'm going to import File. And I need to find where it is. And for me, it is under my NAS. Let's see here, tutorials, After Effects tutorials, and let's choose BAT. And we want the PSD, or the Adobe Photoshop file. When you do that, there are also some things down here that it's going to ask you. Do you want footage? That's going to be the default. But we actually want composition. And I'll show you that in a second. So we want a composition, and then we're going to click Import. And this little window pops up here. Composition, editable layer styles. Yes, we do. There you go. There's my bat. Now, you can see another thing came in here too, a folder called Bat Layers. If I click on this, there you go. I've got Bat Layer 1, Layer 2, and Layer 3. Definitely helpful. But what's even more helpful is I already have this composition. If I double click on it, there we go. I already have this composition that's got all three pieces in it. And we'll utilize that here in just a little bit. Let's jump back to the main comp. All right. Then let's bring in Snoopy's doghouse. Well, there is Adobe Media, or not Media Encoder, Media Browser. There we go. Just like in Premiere, we have Media Browser. So again, I'm going to go find the NAS, and it's under my tutorials. There it is. Now I'm working from home, so the locations of files may be slightly different than what you're seeing there at the school, okay? And then I'm going to find After Effects tutorials. There it is. And I want the doghouse, yes. And I'm just going to drag that in there. Boom. Okay. Jump back over to the composition. Now let's get this scene kind of laid out. So I'm going to bring my doghouse in, like so. Good enough for now. What else? I'm going to bring my bat in for now. There's my bat. We'll use that in a second. All right, I'm going to shut the bat off, and I'm going to create a new solid layer that I'm just going to use for a source. Doesn't matter the color of this layer, I'm just going to create a source. So I'm going to go Layer, New, Solid, and let's change the color. We're going to call this, maybe we'll make this one green. I try to make my sources like a really bright, vibrant, ugly color that I probably will never use in a video, just so I know that it has to be turned off or it's going to be hidden or something like that. Let's name this solid. We're going to call this one Source Path. Okay? And then click OK. So there's my bright green that is really hard to look at. And you know what? I am going to drag my source path down behind my background layer. I don't need to see it, but I just need to know that it's there. Now that that's there, let's go ahead and draw out a path for my bat to fly in. So I'm going to grab my pen tool up here at the top. Okay. And let's have them start, you know what? Let's have them start here. Not that it really matters, but actually let's bring it closer. Have them start here. And you kind of want to have your points somewhat evenly spaced out. And the reason why you want that is because you'll be guaranteed to have a much smoother time animating. And I'm just going to bring this up like this. Okay. So there you go. Now we've got this path, right? I'm going to grab my selection tool because I'm done making changes there for now. Now here comes the fun part. Let's turn our bat on so we can see the bat layer. There we go. And let's take a look at the source path. Now if I navigate down into the source path, find masks, mask 1, mask path. This is important right here. We want to select mask path like we have it there. And I'm going to hit Control C on my keyboard. From there, I'm going to go up to my bat. I'm going to find its position. Now I could navigate down to transform and find position right there. Or I could use the hotkey P for position and just isolate the position there. Okay. Make sure you select position on the bat and hit Control V as in Victor. And you can see our bat moved over to the beginning of our path and our path has been transferred over. If you look closely on the right hand side, you've got a couple things. You've got a keyframe here like a diamond. You've got a diamond here and a few circles at all of these different points. Okay. Well, these points are called tweens. Okay, they're in-betweens. They're keyframes or frames in between your keyframes. So just like when you're drawing out the animation, like say you're doing a little flip book and you draw out the animation of a person jumping or throwing a ball. Well, a person throwing, you've got the wind up of them throwing the ball. So they're all the way back. And then they have the release, right? So there's 1, 2, and then the release, right? So that's 3 points, 3 key frames. When you're jumping, it's low. You're winding up that spring or compressing your legs to jump. Then you have the jump where you're at the highest point in midair. And then you have the landing. So there's 1, 2, 3 points. These tweens are the frames in between those points. Okay? And you can see as I scrub through 1, 2, 3, and it's kind of flying around. If I push play, it just kind of flies around. I can actually change the duration simply by grabbing my second keyframe, which is that very last diamond, and dragging this out. So I'm going to drag this out to about 5 seconds just so we can see it. I'll push play. And there it flies in. Let's add something to this to make it a little bit more interesting. So let's go back to the beginning and then let's change the scale of the bat as he flies in. To do that, I'm going to isolate the scale. Actually, I want to see the scale with position. The shortcut for scale is S. But if I hold down Shift S, I now isolate the position and the scale for this layer. So I can see two things at once. And I'm going to shrink my bat down so he's as if he's flying from a far distance. I'll click the stopwatch to set a keyframe. And let's see, he's maybe here he's flying closer. So let's bring it up from 18 to say 32. Maybe he flew really close here. So maybe he got really close to the camera. So I'm going to bring that up like so. It's like, oh my goodness. And now he's going to fly back to Snoopy's doghouse. And here, it's going to go back down to say, I don't know, something like that. Okay. What did we do? All right. So everything's kind of choppy right now. Let's click on scale. All of our keyframes turn blue. Let's click F9 on our keyboard to create some easy ease in and out like we did last time in the last assignment. Let's do the same for position. Select position, select F9 on the keyboard. Everything's much smoother. There we go. Now it's still not quite right. Our bat is not necessarily aiming along the line like we'd like. We want to really aim that bat. Well, how do we fix that? Let's select the bat. And we're going to go up to Layer, Transform, Auto Orient. The default is set to off. We want to select Orient along path and then click OK. We don't really see a change. So let's take a look at rotation. We're going to click the letter R on our keyboard to show rotation. Then changing the degrees here. We don't need to set a keyframe, but changing the degrees, I'm going to kind of rotate my bat so he's kind of pointing closer to how I'd like to see him on the line. And now he should be flying just fine. Okay. And in fact, maybe here I want to change my rotation so it looks like he's landing. Here is where I'll click that keyframe. And I'm going to make some adjustments here where I'll bring him back up like so. So you've got him flying in. And then he lands. All right. Again, F9 on our keyframes. Easy ease those in. Again, we can add some motion blur by clicking the motion blur on the bat and the motion blur up above. Let's take a look. All right, not bad. Not bad at all. Make sure to save your work. We're going to call this one Fly Along Paths. Okay. Now that we've got our work saved, in the next video, we're going to look at our bat layers and we're going to do some expressions to make those wings flap and make sure that they look nice so that they actually don't flap continuously, but that they do actually stop and come to a resting place at the end of our animation. All right, I'll see you in the next video.